How we treat ourselves, it matters. It makes such a big difference in our quality of life and it has a ripple effect on everybody around us. We're only with ourselves 24/7. So, as you know already, it's such an important relationship, and how we are treating ourselves affects everything. It affects how we see the world and engage with the world, it affects our relationships, our health, the actions that we take or don't take. It affects our money. It affects everything. Our relationship with ourselves is really at the core of our lived experience. And as you can already attest, when you invest in yourself, when you do things for yourself to help yourself be a better person, it really has a ripple effect. Everybody around you wins when we treat ourselves well, we take care of ourselves. So, some things I wanted to talk to you about today is some of the ways that we might be mistreating ourselves, whether you're judging yourself about your past. This has been part of my life's work, and it might be my entire life's work, is really healing the relationship with ourselves and allowing shame to be lifted, right? We can carry a lot of shame and it can be passed down through our family, right? If you grew up in a family where you needed to keep things secret, or there was this message, whether it was overtly or covertly, I don't know if those are words, of secret, or keep things quiet, or there's something wrong with us, or we're not like everybody else. So these subliminal or sometimes loud messages that we receive growing up can affect how we treat ourselves later on in life. Other things that affect how we treat ourselves is if we're just too busy, right? Sometimes we may not make time for ourselves to do the things that are really going to nourish us and have us be healthy and have us be strong and have us have the mental capacity to navigate through life. Whether it's making sure that we're eating throughout the day, we're taking our breaks, we're moving our bodies, we're resting, right? We live in a culture where rest for many of us is an afterthought. It's not as valuable. And so, a reminder, and I remind myself of this still, is that rest is equally important as work, right? We get to have that flow, right? So, with shame, if you're somebody who has this subliminal or loud messaging of there's something wrong with me, I'm not enough, I don't have enough, it can show up in our actions. It can show up in maybe we work nonstop to the point of burnout because we're so afraid that it like that we're not valuable without the work. It can show up in how we take care of our health. Maybe we don't take care of ourselves because what's the point anyway? Or we don't feel like we have the value of taking care of ourselves. It can also show up in our actions because we have this underlying message of there's something wrong with me, I'm not good enough, that we numb out, whether it's through food, whether it's through shopping, whether it's through work, gambling, um, drugs, alcohol. These are all ways in which we can be hurting ourselves, right? Mistreating ourselves. So I want you to think about ways in which you can really elevate your life. We can elevate our life through how we think about ourselves, the thoughts that are going on, and not just the thoughts, but the feelings and emotions and sensations in the body that produces. Becoming aware of our thoughts is one of the first steps. Becoming aware of that internal dialogue, the inner conversation that's going on, our actions. What are the actions that we're taking? Can we treat ourselves in a really kind, gentle, nourishing, accepting way? Or are we abusing or neglecting ourselves, or maybe putting ourselves last on the list? We're saying yes when it's really a no. Or maybe we're on the opposite of that and it would really do us great benefit to say yes. Maybe we're hiding out and playing small in life and we're treating ourselves as though we're a victim, as though we can't, when really there's another possibility for us. And then our words, how things we say about our lives. So for some of us, this inner dialogue of how we treat ourselves is really loud. It's really obvious that we're not our own best friend. We're actually maybe even our own enemy, our own worst critic, our own bully, right? Sometimes it's really, really loud, and sometimes it's more subtle. It's that it's just never quite enough. We accomplish the things, we get to the place that we want to be, and yet we still feel like we could do better, right? It can show up as perfectionism, it can show up as the imposter syndrome. These are all ways in which we can kind of be against ourselves. So, what do we do about it? First of all, becoming aware of it is the first step. Becoming aware that there is an internal battle going on, or that maybe we're mistreating ourselves in some way. That's the first step. And not just becoming aware of it, because you might already be aware of it. You might be saying, Brittany, I'm already aware of it. Like, it's driving me nuts. But to become aware of it from that place of compassion, from that place of knowing that it's part of the human conditioning. In a lot of ways, we have those ants, those automatic negative thoughts, and we have negativity bias. So part of it is wired into our survival. That being said, what do we do when it's just taking over our lives, perhaps? Really practicing deep self-compassion and being gentle with yourself, being curious about what this is really about and what else is possible here, holding it from a place of neutrality, which is it's an art, but recognizing that, okay, this is an aspect of my human experience, that I am at war with myself right now. And then really dropping into, how can I support myself through this? How can I navigate this? And really offering that loving support, or maybe even that advocacy for yourself. If you're somebody who is in a position where, like I said, you're holding yourself small, or maybe you've been stuck in this negative habit, this negative loop for 6 months, 6 years, 16 years, and you know it's destroying you, you know it's hurting you, you know it's not working for you, you might also need to be an advocate for yourself and get the help that you need to help you get out of this cycle, because you really do have only this one precious life. And I like to always remind you is that you are a powerful creator. There's so much of our lived experience that we don't have control of, but there's also so much of our lived experience that we do have the capacity to live from an empowered state, right? From that place of choice, from that place of, okay, this is the situation. What can I do about it? And then acknowledging what's within our control. I like to make a list sometimes. What's in my control? What's out of my control? Because we can also spend so much of our time focusing on what's out of our control, which is just total waste of energy. Or we can really focus in on, okay, what can I work with in this situation? And one of the things that we can work with in this particular situation, how we treat ourselves, is, what are the actions that I'm taking? What are the words that I'm speaking about myself, about my life? Our words are so powerful. So if you're saying, I don't have enough time, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, I never stick with things, I'm broke, I don't have money, I'm not good with money, I make bad choices, I don't choose partners that are good for me. Our words are powerful. So starting with cancel, cancel, cancel. Something that I try to totally erase from my vocabulary is I can't afford it, because I believe that if I really desire something, if I really, really want something, I have the capacity to work towards it, to co-create it. Another thing that I really try to work with on my vocabulary is how I talk about how I show up in life. I do a pretty darn good job, and I share this with you not to toot my own horn, but of not saying I'm too busy or I'm lazy. Because for me, taking rest, I can go into oh, I'm taking rest, I'm lazy. No, like we already talked about, rest is necessary. It's a way that we can really treat ourselves well, is taking rest when we need it. So doing a check of what are What are the words that are coming out of your mouth? Are they bringing life to you, or are they taking away life? If you're somebody who says, I'm out of shape, maybe you say, I'm getting into shape, or I'm starting to exercise, right? Instead of, oh, I'm so out of shape, right? Then we live into that experience. And again, actions, thoughts, we'll have a lot of thoughts that we might not quite have control over where our mind goes. And we do have control over what we do with our thoughts. Do we allow those thoughts to overpower us? Do we allow those thoughts to distract us from what we're working on? Do we allow the thoughts to empower us and lift us up? So I would love to hear from you. What is one way this weekend that you will treat yourself with kindness? Whether it's through thoughts you think, whether it's through actions that you take, whether it's through words that you speak. How can you treat yourself with more kindness, more respect, more empowerment? Look forward to hearing from you. Have a great weekend.